A sudden flash of rotor blades sliced through the hazy dawn light over the narrow waters of the Strait of Hormuz. The rhythmic thump of helicopter engines reverberated across the calm surface as 5 American AH-64 Apache attack helicopters skimmed dangerously close to the Iranian coastline. Guided missiles streaked from their pylons toward shore-based positions. Bright explosions bloomed along rocky outcrops, hardened bunkers, and coastal launch sites. Thick columns of black smoke curled upward into the morning sky, while the low-flying aircraft maneuvered with precision through the contested corridor. This was no ordinary patrol. It formed part of an intensified American operation to reopen the vital maritime passage amid rising tensions. Nearly 1/5 of the world's daily oil supply normally flows through these waters. The strikes targeted Iranian coastal missile batteries, naval infrastructure, and surveillance posts that had been used to threaten commercial shipping. This was not simply a localized military exchange. It represented a significant escalation in the battle for control over one of the planet's most critical energy arteries. According to Iranian state media and senior military spokesmen, the American Apache helicopters launched a deliberate and coordinated offensive against multiple Iranian installations along the southern coastline. Officials claimed the helicopters fired precision-guided munitions that struck coastal defense systems, missile deployment sites, storage facilities, and logistical nodes supporting naval operations in the strait. Explosions reportedly caused visible fires and structural damage, with smoke rising across sections of the shoreline for hours afterward. Iranian sources described the incursion as a clear violation of sovereign airspace and portrayed the operation as part of a broader U.S. campaign to neutralize Iran's defensive capabilities in the region. Military statements emphasized that the strikes posed an immediate threat to national security and forced a swift activation of air defense networks. They highlighted the rapid response by Iranian forces as a demonstration of resolve and technical proficiency in protecting territorial waters. Iranian narratives framed the entire episode as aggressive provocation met with determined self-defense. But the story quickly became far more complicated. Before we break down the reported damage to Iranian coastal sites, the sequence of the defensive engagement, and the technical details of the aircraft involved, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss the latest dramatic developments shaping global geopolitics. According to U.S. military officials and Western reporting, the AH-64 Apache helicopters operating alongside A-10 Warthog aircraft were engaged in targeted missions to counter Iranian fast attack boats, one-way attack drones, and coastal threats that have effectively disrupted international shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. American statements describe these platforms as highly effective low-altitude assets designed for contested environments. The Apache carries a mix of Hellfire missiles, rockets, and a powerful 30mm chain gun, allowing it to engage both moving maritime targets and fixed ground positions with remarkable accuracy while remaining challenging to detect at low levels. U.S. accounts frame the activity as essential defensive support for freedom of navigation, not unprovoked aggression. Pentagon briefings have confirmed intensified operations to hunt and neutralize Iranian naval vessels and drones, with no verified losses of 5 Apache helicopters. Analysts note that modern air defense systems, combining radar guidance with optical tracking optimized for slow-moving or low-altitude threats, were likely activated in response. Independent confirmation of major helicopter losses remains absent, leaving a gap between the competing versions of events. Between these narratives lies a complex reality that analysts are still working to understand. What does this mean for the global energy system? The answer is immediate and far-reaching. The Strait of Hormuz forms a narrow choke point between the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman, bordered by Iran to the north and the United Arab Emirates and Oman to the south. It serves as the primary export route for crude oil and liquefied natural gas from major producers including Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates. Iranian coastal missile systems, naval bases, and surveillance posts positioned along its shores can threaten tanker traffic with anti-ship missiles, mines, or swarming speedboats. Attacking or defending positions in this zone carries immense strategic weight because any sustained disruption can send energy prices soaring worldwide, force costly rerouting around Africa that adds weeks to transit times, and ripple through global supply chains. The United States and its partners have repeatedly stressed the need to keep the passage open for international commerce. Iran has long viewed the threat of closure as a key leverage point in its confrontation with the West. The message was clear. Dominance over the Strait of Hormuz remains the ultimate strategic prize in this unfolding regional confrontation. That immediate military reaction has already set off a chain of wider consequences. Regional governments have moved quickly to raise alert levels across the Gulf. Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and other Gulf Cooperation Council members have stepped up naval patrols, enhanced air surveillance, and deepened coordination with U.S. Central Command to safeguard their own energy export terminals. The spike in reported activity carries consequences far beyond the immediate waters. Global markets responded within hours. Oil benchmark prices rose sharply on concerns of prolonged supply interruptions. Shipping insurance premiums for vessels transiting the Persian Gulf climbed significantly. Energy futures contracts surged as traders adjusted positions to account for heightened uncertainty. Diplomatic channels have become intensely active. European Union nations, along with major Asian importers such as China, India, and Japan, have issued public calls for restraint while conducting urgent back-channel discussions at the United Nations and through bilateral contacts. Russia and China have expressed support for measures that would preserve stable energy flows aligned with their own economic interests. In the United States, the visible deployment of Apache helicopters and A-10 Warthogs have sparked domestic political debate. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have questioned the scope and risks of these operations, while the administration continues to defend them as necessary to protect international waterways and deter further Iranian aggression. Each layer of reaction builds upon the previous one. A tactical engagement over coastal defenses now tests the broader stability of the entire Middle East and beyond. Iranian officials maintain that their integrated air defense systems successfully engaged and struck all 5 American Apache helicopters during a legitimate and proportionate response to an armed incursion near sovereign territory. U.S. authorities maintain that operations to secure the Strait of Hormuz against Iranian threats to commercial shipping and allied interests are continuing effectively, with no confirmed losses on the scale claimed. The competing accounts reflect deeper and long-standing divisions over responsibility for the volatility gripping the region. The incident underscores how rapidly low-altitude helicopter strikes and sophisticated coastal defenses can turn a vital maritime corridor into an active battlefield. It also reveals the inherent risks and limitations of operating advanced platforms in areas with dense, layered defensive coverage. The Strait of Hormuz has served as a strategic flashpoint for decades. Any prolonged disruption here would send economic shockwaves far beyond the Middle East, influencing fuel costs for households, inflation rates in distant economies, and strategic planning from Washington to Beijing. Questions persist about the precise extent of damage sustained on both sides, the effectiveness of repair efforts along the Iranian coast, and whether additional operations or retaliatory moves may follow in the coming days. Will this engagement remain an isolated incident, or is it the beginning of something far larger? Stay tuned for further updates as this situation continues to develop, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss the latest dramatic geopolitical developments shaping the world.